Today is your chance to stand up and declare that you're not going to take it anymore.
5 days to go before Election Day on Tuesday, and both major presidential nominees hope visits to the West Coast will sway undecided voters.
It's not just what he says, it's what he will do. And it is time then to turn the page on Donald Trump. We are done with them.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the West Coast Wrap. I'm Frank Malakote. It's been a very busy day out on the campaign trail in the West for former President Trump, Vice President Kamala Harris. Both are en route to the final events of the day, a rally for Vice President Harris in Las Vegas and a hurricane relief benefit for former President Trump in Glendale, Arizona. Earlier today, the former president campaigned in the battleground state of Nevada. He held a rally in Henderson right outside of Las Vegas. Told the crowd Election Day gives voters a chance to take the country in a new direction.
Kamala, that you've had enough. You can't take it anymore. She's horrible, the worst there is. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. Liberation Day.
Former President Trump started his day out west in New Mexico. He rallied a crowd in Albuquerque. His campaign is projecting optimism that reliably blue state will be competitive for Republicans. Vice President Kamala Harris will wrap the day with a late-night rally in Las Vegas. Earlier today, the vice president held a When We Vote, We Win rally in Phoenix. That visit came after she slammed her opponent's comments that he would protect women whether they, quote, liked it or not. Vice President Harris said the comment is just one more example that shows the GOP presidential nominee does not understand women's rights to make decisions on their own. And when she addressed the crowd in Phoenix, she said the former president doesn't know how to lead a democracy.
Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe that people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table. Because that's how a democracy works. And that's how real leaders work.
The vice president also made a stop in Reno late this afternoon. It was her first rally in the northern portion of Nevada. Her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, has visited Reno 2 times during the campaign. Now, both major vice presidential nominees will head west this weekend as well. Governor Tim Walz is expected to participate in a series of political events in Las Vegas Valley on Saturday. Details of those events have not been announced. The Tucson Sentinel reports he also plans to make campaign stops in Tucson and Flagstaff, Arizona. Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio will also visit Nevada and Arizona Saturday. He plans to discuss immigration policy and the economy during a campaign stop in Scottsdale. He intends to focus on the economy during another rally in Las Vegas. Governor Walz spent a lot of time talking about the economy in front of a big crowd in Pennsylvania today. He said former President Trump's plan to use tariffs to boost the economy won't help American consumers.
You would think over 80 years you would understand how a tariff works. CEOs of companies like Black & Decker, AutoZone, and Columbia have gone on the record to say if Donald Trump goes forward with this plan, they will simply have to raise prices and pass it on to you. Donald Trump saying China will pay for those tariffs the same way Mexico paid for the wall that he never built. It's not going to happen. Now,
Senator Vance campaigned in North Carolina today. He suggested Vice President Kamala Harris' approach to foreign policy is weak.
What I would say for Barack Obama, but I would not say for Kamala Harris, is that he actually has beliefs and thoughts in his head for how he wants to govern the United States of America. And I hate to say that, I don't think you can say this about Kamala Harris. Now, the problem there is that that person becomes an empty vessel for whatever the prevailing ideas that are governing in Washington, D.C. are. And what are the prevailing ideas that are governing?
Election officials in Colorado say the leak of partial passwords in the state's voting system will not compromise the integrity of people's votes. Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold said a hidden tab with partial passwords was accidentally on her office's website. She called the temporary situation an unfortunate mistake made by a civil servant. Leak was discovered the same day Colorado election officials announced dozens of ballots were stolen in Mesa County. While Secretary Griswold insists elections are safe and secure, some critics are calling for her to step down.
Hasn't owned that security breach. She hasn't put into place provisions to make people more comfortable with the process, and that undermines the integrity of our system.
Colorado's elections have layers and layers of security. Any voting equipment or voting system actually requires 2 unique passwords, which are held by different parties at different locations. They require physical access with those passwords.
The secretary says she will not step down. We're getting a good look tonight at some of the conditions of the ballots that burned in those ballot boxes in the Pacific Northwest. Investigators say the person who set off incendiary devices at ballot boxes in Oregon and Washington may try to do it again. Fox 12's Amal Elhu spoke with explosive experts to give us some perspective on what it would likely take for investigators to track down the person responsible.
With ballot boxes just like this one being the target of several attacks in our area, many have been left wondering about a possible motive. But according to the fire expert I spoke with, it'll likely be a while before we get an answer to that. After hundreds of ballots were destroyed Monday in ballot box fires, security is now being ramped up at drop-off sites in Clark and Multnomah counties. But what remains in an evidence room are the ballot boxes just like this one, which were destroyed by incendiary devices. It's something Nicole Brewer, a fire investigator of 26 years, knows a thing or two about.
Because it was happening in the Portland area and also in Vancouver, that the team that I had worked with would likely have been involved.
Brewer, who had an extensive career with Portland Fire and Rescue and now works in the private sector, says while she can't speculate on this investigation, she says the fact that the crime surrounds voting during a heated election cycle will definitely be taken into consideration.
I'm sure that they'll be testing everything and looking into all aspects of this investigation. It's odd in that it was with a ballot box to begin with, and I think all of us are aware of that. They're taking this very seriously, and I'm sure they're working with Vancouver as well. I'm sure that they're going to find whoever did this.
In terms of how long this investigation will go on for or when we might get more answers, that is unknown. But what Brewer is sure about is that answers will circulate eventually.
They take time to investigate. There's a lot of people involved. There's a lot of information that may be coming at them, reliable information and maybe even not so reliable information, but they have to filter through all of that.
With so many unknowns, Brewer says she understands why this incident is alarming to the public, but she, along with local officials, are urging voters not to let this incident deter them from voting.
While this is a scary thing, know that there are people out there that are handling the issue, and continue with your lives as much as possible. It's definitely something to be concerned about, but try to continue on.
Authorities believe the suspect could possibly strike again, and Crime Stoppers of Oregon is offering a $2,500 reward for information leading to an arrest. Reporting in Southeast Portland, I'm at Fox 12 Oregon.
Members of the Navajo Nation are working to make sure that members of the Native American community turn out to vote on Tuesday. There are about 420,000 Native American citizens in Arizona. Some of them rallied at Fort Defiance to remind members of the Navajo Nation that they have the power to sway the election. In 2020, President Biden won the state by about 10,500 votes. Since then, both political parties have been working to win over the voters of Arizona.
Democracy comes from indigenous communities, and so that's what this is about. It's about honoring our ancestors who fought for us to be here.
Advocates say this year marks 100 years of citizenship for Native Americans in the U.S. They say it's important to come together as a community and show their power. Stay on top of the campaign headlines in the West. Head over to our website, westcoastwrap.com, for all that information. Coming up, a suspected international drug ring busted in the West. Tonight, investigators reveal where they think the suspects were looking for customers. And plans to build a new Oakland A's, now Vegas A's ballpark in Las Vegas include $1 billion contribution from one family. We'll have a breakdown of who's opening up their wallet when we come back.
You're talking about Las Vegas. Let's talk about the city by the bay, the city of San Francisco. We're looking out at cloud cover and some clearing of the skies after early rain. Your complete West Coast wrap forecast is coming up after this fast break.
Welcome back. The A's are laying out how they plan to finance a $1.5 billion brand new ballpark in Las Vegas. A's executives have informed the Las Vegas Stadium Authority Board that club owner John Fisher and his family will invest $1 billion into the construction of that new stadium. U.S. Bank and Goldman Sachs will offer a $300 million loan, and that is in addition to the $380 million in public funding offered from the state of Nevada. The team says it will present more construction and financing details at their next public meeting on December the 5th. Final approvals on that $1.5 billion, 33,000 seat stadium could happen at that meeting later in December. Well, the World Series champions are back home tonight in L.A. The Dodgers arrived at LAX on a plane covered in signage for the NFL Patriots this morning. Plans are underway for the team to greet fans on a parade route tomorrow. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf reports law enforcement doesn't want to see a repeat of trouble that unfolded after last night's win.
Well, here it comes.
The Dodgers now back in LA as World Series champions, ready to party.
Victory! Victory! This is a wonderful day.
Mayor Karen Bass and the city preparing for a massive celebration parade.
To firms and offices located here in downtown, the city recommends a work-from-home policy to minimize cars in the area.
Since the last out Wednesday night, World Series celebrations have erupted across the Southland. Some crowds out of control, lighting a metro bus on fire. Businesses broken into and looted, law enforcement calling for safe celebrations Friday.
We're having pockets of individuals that the minute our law enforcement officers get there, the crowd turns on them. They're taking bottles, they're taking rocks, they're taking fireworks.
You will notice an increased presence of LAPD officers along the parade route tomorrow and throughout the surrounding neighborhoods.
The 2020 World Series Dodgers Championship didn't have a parade because of COVID.
We saw the confetti flying over here as the buses made their way out of the lot.
So the last victory parade across LA was for the Rams' Super Bowl victory in 2022.
You guys ready for some Dodger baseball parades? Well, this is where it's going to be tomorrow.
Similar to that celebration, the Dodgers will be on double-decker buses on a 45-minute route from near City Hall to 5th and Flower, ending around noon with a ticketed event at Dodger Stadium.
LA is ready to celebrate, and what a better day to do that than Fernando Valenzuela's birthday.
World Series gear flying off the shelves at Dick's Sporting Goods in El Segundo.
World Series championship, sure.
Fans looking to wear Dodger blue at Friday's parade.
Went to the parade tomorrow. Yeah.
So we want to represent this win for us.
Big crowds still coming through here as they get ready for that parade tomorrow. Reporting in El Segundo, Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
Well, a winter-like scene in Hawaii this week. Cameras captured images of what it looked like after a couple inches of snow fell on the state's tallest mountain. There she be. The summit of Mauna Kea sits more than 13,000 feet above sea level on the Big Island. Snow is already done, but it sure is pretty. Let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez, tracking conditions for all those late trick-or-treaters still hitting the streets out here on the West Coast. Roberta?
Yeah, Frank, but I still am just mesmerized about the snowfall in Hawaii. Let's go ahead and share that with you. Here are the chain of Hawaiian islands, and here you have the Big Island right here. I just love the Big Island. Got to remember here, it's about 4,000 square miles wide. It's about 93 miles long and about 75 miles that way, and you have the Kona Coast right here. You have Mauna Kea right there, and that's where the snow was falling. But meanwhile, today it was sunny in the low 80s on the Kona coast. They have so many different climates there in just one day. Meanwhile, we take you to the Pacific Northwest, where we've had rain and snow and sleet, and this is why that winter weather advisory remains in effect into Friday, mainly around Morton. That's where it's really getting hammered. And then the winter storm warning is in effect, and this does encompass Mackenzie Pass and also Tombstone Summit there. We're talking about copious amounts of precipitation in the form of rain, sleet, and snow. And this system here is nicking the northwestern quadrant of the state of California. Behind it here, cooler air mass, 47 degrees in Seattle, 57 in San Francisco. Inland we go, Salt Lake City now, 49 degrees and a very mild, pleasant 75 in Phoenix. We do have the cloud cover and 19/100ths of an inch of rain in Seattle today, just shy of 2/10. Meanwhile, San Francisco had just over a 1/10 of an inch of rain early this morning at 62 degrees. This is Monument Peak in the Santa Clara Valley, looking out towards Fremont, Milpitas, and in San Jose. And there you have it, Phoenix, 81 degrees today, and that's pretty much where you should be for this time of the year. So it's getting active. We have a couple of different systems to the north. First one is pretty much pushing out. Second one is going to interfere with a lot of weekend plans in the Pacific Northwest, also in that northern section of the state of California. A little bit of light precipitation off the San Diego coast from that first system as well. Lots to track here. We're looking at least over ½ an inch of rain on Friday and throughout Seattle. Meanwhile, no rain is in the forecast on Friday until Friday night in San Francisco. And you may have a little bit of light precipitation around the Los Angeles area, and that will be on Saturday. So let's go ahead and break it down for you here. We have 50s tomorrow for your Friday, the very first day of November, seasonal across Seattle into Portland. 60s, which is seasonal in San Francisco. Really, autumn has arrived to the West Coast. Here is your forecast, including the weekend. We're going with overnight showers in the Bay Area Friday night through Saturday morning, clearing out a hit and miss scattered shower overnight on Saturday in the Los Angeles basin. And even Phoenix looking decent for this time of the year. Enjoy your first day of November.
Yeah, it's already here. Okay, Roberta, thank you for that. A major drug trafficking ring that was operating near college students in Seattle has been broken up by law enforcement. Authorities say an East African drug trafficking organization operating near the University of Washington and was responsible for millions of fentanyl pills coming into the area. The operation led to multiple arrests, 26 searches, and the seizure of more than 80 firearms, substantial quantities of narcotics, and a lot of cash.
This organization was sophisticated. They used codes, they changed phones, they did counter surveillance tactics, and they engaged in significant violence.
The multi-agency effort involved nearly 600 officers, 15 tactical teams, with some traveling all the way as far as Florida. Authorities say the ring was linked to various incidents of violence, including a murder case. Well, Eric and Lyle Menendez are seeking clemency from California Governor Gavin Newsom in the hopes that they will be released from prison possibly by Thanksgiving. They received life without parole for killing their parents back in 1989, but some new evidence surfaced supporting claims of sexual abuse by their father. Well, that led LA County DA George Gascon to seek resentencing of the case, with a hearing now set for December the 11th. But if Gascon is not reelected on Tuesday, the new DA could turn this case upside down.
We actually had Nathan Hochman on TMZ Live last week, and like a politician would, like a good candidate, he said he's not ready to make any decision about this because he would have to look over all of the case files. He would have to look through their prison records for their behavior. He said, I'm not going to make a decision without actually having access to all of those things.
Hochman leads Gascon by a wide margin in recent polls. As for clemency, the governor's office said it could not discuss individual cases. Up next, you got kids and can't get out to vote? Well, an Arizona YMCA just solved that problem while teaching kids an important civics lesson as well. More on their Election Day daycare coming up. And they're just days old, but already in the Halloween spirit. We're going to show you what a NICU did in Seattle to get newborns ready for Halloween. Coming up, stay right there. Welcome back. Former 49er quarterback Colin Kaepernick taking the stage this week at the TechCrunch Disrupt Conference in San Francisco. Kaepernick is now the CEO and the founder of an AI startup called Lumi. It's a storytelling platform that helps creators independently create, publish, and merchandise their stories using artificial intelligence technology. Kaepernick says the media storm surrounding his 2016 protest of the national anthem at 49er games inspired him to create the product. Right now, they are just testing it. It will be available on Lumi's website soon. The full product is set to launch in the near future. While parents in Phoenix are voting in the presidential election, one YMCA is giving their kids a chance to weigh in on the political contest. Fox 10's Irene Schneider shows us how children are casting ballots in their own election.
Exercising the civil right to vote is important. The YMCA wants to ensure every adult has the opportunity to cast a vote. That's why they're offering free childcare for up to 4 hours on Election Day.
For those who want to go out to the polls and vote, so that's an offering.
And while the parents are out voting, the kids also get a chance to vote in the YMCA's Kids Vote program.
We'll be able to see how the kids voted at the YMCA versus how the adults voted in the real election that's happening. So it's really cool to compare those results.
The kids' vote, of course, won't make any difference in real election results, but it gives the kids a chance to see how it all works and get educated on the different races.
They're learning about each of the positions that are up for election this year, so president, vice president, senator, judicial retention, and corporation commissioner. They should be preparing before they come in, talking to their parents and getting ready and learning alongside them, and then when they come in, they can do some research on their phones or on a tablet or on the laptops that we have and find out a little bit more information about each of the candidates, and then they can cast their own vote.
Some of the kids are pretty young, while others are only months away from being eligible to vote.
So I can't vote. I'm 17, and what it means to me to be able to have this process is it's a really great learning experience just to be able to have like a practice run for when I can vote. It's a habit that I want to welcome and that I always want to be able to do, and the fact that we can do it for kids and that they can learn to welcome their civic responsibilities is a really beautiful process.
Because these kids are the future.
Kids are our future leaders. They're our next voters, and I think it's very important that they get practice. So learning by doing, so touching the computer, voting through each of those bubbles and clicking through who they want to pick is going to be a long-lasting learning that they have, where when they go to the polls when they're 18, they have that experience.
Kids Vote is open now at all 11 Maricopa County YMCA locations up until Election Day, and after you finish, all kids get a sticker. I'm Irene Schneider for Fox 10 News.
Employees at a Seattle hospital made sure infants were all part of Halloween fun today. Every year, nurses at Overlake Medical Center dress up the infants in the neonatal intensive care unit in costumes. Nurses call them hospital's tiniest trick-or-treaters. Staff and families say the celebration helps bring everyone a little bit of joy, even Captain America. Want to thank you for joining us tonight. You can stay up to date on all the stories we're covering online. Go to westcoastwrap.com and stream all of your shows on your smart TV by downloading the Fox Local app. Have a happy Halloween, everyone. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Good night.